All that is known of this photo is that it was taken in Chicago, and shows a happy mother and her son. It also seems to show the ghost of an old woman and a bulldog staring at the camera through the door. After 2 sailors died on board the SS Watertown in 1924, other shipmates said they repeatedly saw their faces appearing in the water. This photo appears to show their heads emerging from the sea. Snapped in 1963 at the Newby Church in Yorkshire, England, this photo appears to depict a spooky 9-foot-tall figure wearing a cowl and standing at an altar. Several photo experts have scrutinized the photo and have declared it is not the result of a double exposure, or other photographic tricks. Robert A. Ferguson was speaking at a spiritual convention in Los Angeles in 1968, when this picture was taken. Standing behind him appears to be his brother Walter, who had died in 1944. Picture taken in Manila in the year 2000, this shot reveals 2 smiling Filipinas, while a creepy specter grabbing one of the girl's arms. Bachelor's Grove Cemetery near Chicago is reportedly the site of several paranormal events. This 1991 high-speed infrared photo depicts a phantom woman sitting on a tombstone. My, what a very nice photo of a lovely Queen Anne-style wooden furniture, taken sometime in the early 20th century. Everything's nice, that is, except for the unexplained phantom hand at the top. This photo depicts England's one town hall burning to the ground in 1995. It also appears to depict a girl staring blankly at the camera from within the building. Freddie Jackson was a member of the British Royal Air Force, whose funeral was held the same day in 1919 that this photo of his former comrades was taken. If you look at the inset to the right, a face that has been identified as the ghost of Freddie Jackson lurks behind another soldier. Photographer Neil Sandbach took a series of photos at an English farmhouse in 2008. Later, while examining one of the photos on his computer, he noticed to his horror that there was a ghostly image of what appears to be a young child. What was intended to be an innocent color photo of Denise Russell's grandma in 1997 also shows a man behind her, who bears a striking resemblance to Grandma's husband, who had been dead since 1994. This undated photo, presumably from the 1950s, shows Mama Cooper, Grandma Cooper, and two kids smiling at a dinner table. It also depicts what appears to be a corpse, hanging from the ceiling. This picture was taken by Mrs. Mabel Chinnery in 1959, while visiting her mother's gravesite. It depicts her husband waiting in a car. According to Mrs. Chinnery, it also depicts her dead mother, sitting in the back seat. Taken by a woman named Mrs. Andrews, sometime in the 1940s in Queensland, Australia, this photo clearly shows an infant sitting at a gravestone, and looking at the camera. Mrs. Andrews was visiting her teen daughter's grave. She said, she had no idea who the ghostly baby is, though. One of the most famous unexplained ghost pictures of all time, England's legendary Brown Lady, was captured on film by photographers from Country Life magazine in 1936. There had been numerous sightings of the Brown Lady, going all the way back to 1835. Actor Ike Clanton got all gussied up one day in a cowboy outfit to have his picture taken at the Boot Hill Graveyard in Tombstone, Arizona. He probably hadn't been planning to share the spotlight with a fedora-wearing ghost figure in the background. This haunted house in Amityville, New York, was the subject of massive publicity in the 1970s, that eventually led to the film, The Amityville Horror. Photographer George Lutz was sent out in 1976 to take pictures of the house, but it wasn't until he was looking over rolls and rolls of film in 1979 that he discovered one, and only one photo, depicting a small ghost-like boy. The haunting began shortly before the demolition crew began tearing down the empty Victorian guest house in Kendal, Cumbria, UK. The photograph was taken by the site supervisor just before the building was razed to the ground. It is his wife that spotted what appears to be an elderly woman, wearing large earrings, staring out of one of the ground floor windows. The apparition is believed to be the B&B's late owner Francis Grimshaw, 87, who died a year before the building was scheduled to be demolished. Francis' son, David, said, "That is my mother. I am totally convinced no one else looks like that. She had glasses and big earrings, and she used to wear a dress with a bow at the front. Mom used to stand in that room for hours on the phone. It was the guest house reception, and she took bookings from there." It was only after reviewing the photographs she had taken in her parents' house that Christie realized she had not been alone that day. Captured in one of the photographs appears to show a dark, ominous presence lingering in the doorway, silently watching her. Submitted to Reddit in 2012, the Wisconsin trail cam mystery has been busy baffling the internet ever since. What is the lurching, hunched creature caught on camera? Theories range from Wendigos to bird poop, or someone playing a joke with a sheet over their head. Perhaps we'll never know. taken in 2009, outside the lighthouse keeper's cottage, at Blackhead Lighthouse, County Antrim, UK. Laura took a photo of her friend smoking in the dark, believing they were the only people outside the building. That is, until they reviewed their pictures, and noticed the dark-robed figure, standing right in front of them. This photo was taken by a resident of a nursing home. Prior to the photograph being taken, members of the staff and other residents repeatedly heard the sounds of a door opening and closing, along with the appearance of a call light turning on and off, only to find nobody was in the room. This picture had been taken roughly 15 minutes after a patient in the facility had passed on. Is it possible this is the person? Or perhaps, the Reaper himself? The latter being the most popular theory among the staff. Picture taken in the year 1987, at the Fleet Air Arms Centre, in Yelverton, Somerset. The woman in the picture, while posing, recalled she felt strangely cold, even though it was a hot day. She also claims she was the only one in the aircraft. A father took this photograph of his young daughter playing in their living room, and was surprised to see this ghostly, crawling form of light energy in front of her. It also looks like the child can see it too. This picture was taken of a nurse's viewing monitor. On the monitor, a black figure appeared standing on top of the patient, who was lying in the bed. The patient died within a few hours of this figure appearing. A woman took this photograph of her mother sitting by the campfire during a late spring get-together with friends and family. At the time this photo was taken, the daughter claims her mother was alone by the fire. If that is true, who, or what, is the young girl sitting beside her? Diane and Peter Berthelot visited Worsted Church in Norfolk in 1975. Peter took a photo of his wife praying silently in the pew. Peter took a photo of his wife sitting and praying on one of the church benches, and when they reviewed the developed photos, some months later, a friend of Mrs. Berthelot asked, "Who is that sitting behind you, Diane?" Michelle Spittlers and the Shadow. My previous husband died 8 years ago to cancer. I am remarried now to my new husband of 6 years. He is a retired chief in the Navy. One night in November at 11:30 p.m., I was cleaning our fish tank. I felt like someone had just walked into the kitchen. The light in the kitchen was off, but the living room light was on, so it still lit up the kitchen. I saw a shadow standing in the kitchen up against the counter. I thought it was my husband Michael, so I said, "What is the matter, honey? Could you not sleep?" There was no response. I focused and realized the shape of the body was not my husband. At first, I thought someone had broken into the house. Then when focused, I realized I recognized the silhouette. It was my first husband, James.